welcome to the Cowl Cast, the student show podcast where we talk about everything Batman. My name is Mikey, and joining me is...
I'm Demoan and
And I'm Michael Spack. And Mikey, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the famous Elseworlds Batman story, Gotham by Gaslight, written by and newly drawn by Mike Mignola.
Written by Brian Augustin and drawn by Mike Mignola.
Gotcha.
And then its sequel, Master of the Future, which still by Augustin, but drawn by Eduardo Barreto.
Okay.
And I think this might actually qualify as the first Elseworld Batman story, because I believe this predates the Elseworld banner. Like, if you've ever seen the Elseworlds logo.
Yeah.
So, before we dive in here, Gotham by Gaslight was written by Augustin and came out. It was a one-shot. It's only 48 pages. But it's hailed as one of the most famous Batman Elseworld stories ever. And it came out in February of '89. And then the sequel, Master of the Future, came out a few years later in December of '91. But as we were talking about before the show, this takes the thing, what the kind of the basis was, what would Gotham City of 100 years ago have been like. So...
Keeping with 1889.
So it takes place in 1889. So we get the Victorian steampunk Batman. So I guess kind of starting things off, how'd you guys like Gotham by Gaslight? I dug it. It's the first time I've ever read it.
It was cool.
I enjoyed it.
So cool. Because the reason why I chose it is because Jack the Ripper is kind of like my favorite serial killer. Because people have those type of things. So that's why ever since I heard about this book, I was like, ooh. The Jack the Ripper story with Batman, that sounds fun.
It's a very interesting premise. It definitely makes sense for what would it be like if Batman were to go and fight Jack the Ripper?
Yeah. So cool. And the art's awesome, because Mike Mignola is known for his Hellboy, so...
I like I'm a big fan of the Gotham by Gaslight Batman design. The Mignola day. It's a really cool design. Getting into the plot of the book, Mikey, you want to tell us about the plot?
Yeah, so the plot is essentially Bruce Wayne that has come back from, I believe, London?
Yeah, he's literally talking to... We start with him in Vienna as he's talking to Sigmund Freud.
Sigmund Freud, yeah. Famous
psychologist.
He comes back and from London... on his way back to Gotham, where he meets a family friend named Jacob Packer, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, who is a character we've never seen or heard before in the Batman mythos, so I wonder who the killer could be.
Yeah, it falls into that same problem that Hush did.
Yes.
Introduce the killer with a brand new villain. Doesn't make it hard to figure out who it is.
Yeah. Well, prior to Jacob on the boat, when he's talking to Sigmund Freud, he's telling him the story of his parents dying, and it's this era's version of the Wayne deaths, which is interesting.
Slightly different. I just feel
it's not in version of the Wayne deaths, because at the time so they died on their way to Gotham in the forest on a horse and buggy. So it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's. I don't know. I've seen the Waynes die so many times that I'm just desensitized to it at this point. I'm just yeah, all right, they died.
I didn't really mention in the beginning of the podcast because it's been done so many times.
Yeah, so this is almost like a Batman Year One kind of thing because it's the first time Bruce becomes Batman in this book.
Right.
I would have thought he would have already been operating in Gotham, but I kind of like that how he comes back to Gotham and it's cleaning it up. In this Victorian steampunk kind of era style.
Yeah, gotcha.
I really like the way Mike Mignola draws Bruce Wayne.
It is nice.
Yeah, really cool.
And I don't know. There's something about Mignola's faces are always very good, and this is not. It's a little bit different from what his style would become with Hellboy. It's
yeah.
Because
a lot more like detailed, I'd say. Like I'm not used to seeing like really detailed.
yeah,
pictures drawn
it's
from Mignola.
because by the time you get to Hellboy, it's still like it has that Mignola flair to it, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the faces are as detailed and brought out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always fun seeing Mike Mignola draw Batman because we're all big Mike Mignola fans, I think.
Yeah, they did Mike Mignola fan.
Mm-hmm.
My brother actually does Christmas cards every year, and for this year's Christmas card, he actually used Mike Mignola's style on it, and I called him out on it.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, it was a good card. It was really good. He always does like different scenes, like different nativity Bible scenes. So on it, he did a Mike Mignola style with the shepherds, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
That sounds fun.
that sounds cool. That sounds cool.
But overall, so Batman is trying to track down the Jack the Ripper killer, but he's also putting a stop to crime in Gotham as normal. But things go.
Because Jack the Ripper moved to Gotham.
Yeah.
From...
So he moves to Gotham to continue his escapades to haunt and destroy life and murder. I like the sequences of Batman stopping crime, and like you get the Gotham Guardian and Gotham City Gazette pages. I thought that was cool.
Like the old newsreel where he stops a crime and the paper flips up into it.
Yeah, exactly. But as we said, the story's only 48 pages, so
really
things
short.
go quickly like bad for Batman as the current chief of police, Captain Police Commissioner Tolliver, investigates Bruce Wayne because he thinks he's the one that's Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, that's killing people. Yeah, it's funny. Really funny.
And of course, Bruce thinks he has nothing to worry about, but
Yeah.
they find a knife in his study.
Yeah, bloody knife and white gloves.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they immediately pin it on him, which is funny.
Which is it's if you find that in someone's place, it's reasonable to think that, but but like, why are they there? We don't know yet.
And I would assume like at the time like the way detective work is at that time isn't really as effective as it is now. So I feel like if they just pin a crime on anyone, to be honest.
Oh yeah, any sliver of evidence would have screwed anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
So Bruce is thrown in jail, and he's going to hang in 5 days. So he has to quickly figure out what the connection between Jack the Ripper, all the killings are.
Yeah. And like I like how like in that segment where he's like literally in prison, like coming up with like ways of like to figure out who Jack the Ripper is, and you can see like William Mike Mignola draws him. He's like slowly just losing his mind, like he's cracking. Like
he's getting a 5 o'clock shadow too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I understand that Gordon's trying to make things easier on him, but like somehow Alfred, they switch places with him.
Yeah.
Threw me through a loop.
That was a weird sequence. Like eventually, like at the 11th hour, Alfred shows up and Batman just busts out of prison to go after Jack the Ripper, which just so conveniently he finds him on the night he's patrolling.
Someone murdering someone.
Yeah, about to murder someone.
Jack the Ripper has pinned this on someone and cannot hold off another night to murder.
Yeah.
The self-control this man has is non-existent.
And it's funny because like his reaction to like seeing Batman like in full costume, he's just like, oh shit, and he just books it. The funniest thing.
But they paint him as like this buffoon because he's drooling in one scene. Like there's a scene where he's drooling as he's running away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is.
he's gone like crazy mad. But I do have to say that sequence where Batman like swoops in and stops the murder is like really, really good. Like it's really cool.
It's amazing.
And then like the whole chase is beautiful.
Yeah, where he just goes on horseback. It's like it's really cool. I kind of like because like when I was reading this, I kind of like because I'm so used to reading so many Batman stories like in modern day, I forgot that this was in like 1889. So having like that horse and buggy was like a good like reminder that this isn't a typical Batman story. So.
Well, the best thing about Mignola's art is that he never shows Batman's face hardly ever, so he's just always in shadows, and it looks fantastic.
Oh, God, it's the perfect way to draw Batman.
Yeah.
And yet he somehow makes it work. Like, usually you'll get, like, the one panel of him in shadows, but, like, he's in shadows, like, this entire book, and it works. But he eventually corners... well, Jack the Ripper, and he's like... And it's revealed to be Jacob Packer. Oh, my, how is that possible?
You were my friend!
Yeah. And then he reveals that the reason why he kills women is because of Martha Wayne.
Which I was just like...
him, even though she was already with someone else.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's her fault.
Yeah.
Thomas Wayne, like, set Jacob Packer up. Like, he, like, sent him to school twice, might I add.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, he did, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Like, Jacob Packers wouldn't be anywhere near high society without Mr. Wayne.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, for some reason, like, he had everything, but just because he had Martha drove him insane, which was weird.
Like, because Jacob, according to him, he had nothing, but got sent to school for free, really.
Twice, because remember, he failed medical school.
Oh, yeah, he did, yeah.
Which, if he failed medical school, I guess he somehow still retained enough knowledge for medical expertise to, like, cut up the victims the way Jack the Ripper does, like, because it's famously said in the crimes that someone that did that had to have some sort of medical expertise and training in surgery.
Yeah.
Right.
So, this guy, not a great student.
Oh, yeah.
But he went to law school and passed there. But I like, so he corners them. It just so happens to be the Wayne's grave.
Yeah.
Right.
Commissioner Gordon comes and they put a stop to Jack the Ripper, but Batman is also cut across the chest.
Oh, no, we skipped the big part. We find out that Jacob set up the family to get murdered.
That's right. Yeah, wait. He's behind the Wayne's murder, too.
He hired the guy to kill both the Waynes. The kid got away, though.
Yeah, the kid got away.
And then they stop the Ripper, and Batman disappears into the night after he tells Commissioner Gordon that he's leaving, and then we get a really cool shot of Batman just sitting on a gargoyle.
Yeah.
So that's the end of Gotham by Gaslight. I guess kind of final thoughts on that before we move into its sequel, Master of the Future. I liked it. It's a good short read.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. I love the art style. Really lended itself to like the era they were going for, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the art style was really good. I've never really seen any like Mike Mignola stuff prior to Hellboy, so seeing this is like really cool.
Yeah.
I like how their own like versions of like the Joker they make like a reference to, and Gordon and all that stuff. So
how do you feel about Brian Augustine's writing? Because he's actually known more as an editor at DC than a writer. The two biggest, I mean, the Gotham by Gaslight's the biggest thing he's ever written. The next biggest, I guess, other than Master of the Future, would be he co-wrote JLA Year One with Mark Waid. He was actually, I believe, the editor with Mark Waid on The Flash, and then they would co-write The Flash together when Mark Waid came back for his second run on the book. Because he takes a brief break, that's in the publication of The Flash. That's when Grant Morrison and Mark Millar came in, but then after that it was Waid and Augustine.
All right. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I don't really have a really big opinion on his writing.
Yeah, like I said, he hasn't written a lot of things, so like you said, much more known as an editor at DC Comics than a writer. But this is a good little yarn there.
Yeah, it's a sad story.
I guess moving into part 2 of what we're talking about, because the last episode, Master of the Future, which, by the way, I will apologize again, because I called it Master of the Universe at the end of the Heart of Punch episode notes. Master of the Future. This was written in 91, right? Yeah, December of 91.
Yeah, 91.
So this moves in current time, so literally the same amount of years later, we move in the story. So this would be...
1901?
Yeah, this would probably be 1901.
Not 1991. I'm sorry, 1991. Or no, 1891.
Yeah, 1891.
I can't honor subtract for shit. I'm sorry.
So, all right. Gotham by Gaslight to me is a story that doesn't really need a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It could stand on its own and be perfectly fine.
I don't know. I didn't really get a lot from Master of the Future. I mean, we'll go into it. Like, we open up with the bat suit being hung back up. Like, there's like cobwebs and stuff on it.
I like it.
Yeah.
So
like,
Bruce.
But.
So yeah, this version of Bruce Wayne has found peace. Like, he's not Batman again anymore.
Like, he found his parents' killer. His parents' killer is dead. He's done.
Yeah. Which is different from, Batman and like.
Batman, we know.
Yeah.
But we open up in a boxing match where Bruce Wayne is there, and and his friend that's with him is like, this is a fixed match, so Bruce fights the guy for him, and then of course he beats him.
Mm-hmm.
But as we go down, like, it's Julie Madison that's talking about Julie Madison's friend talking about the night she was saved by Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And do you guys know who Julie Madison is?
I do not.
I don't know who she is. I thought she was a new character for this book.
No, Julie Madison is one of Bruce Wayne's earliest love interests.
Huh.
In the comics. Yeah,
okay.
She was actually they were so involved that I believe they were engaged at one point.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like I think just off the top of my head, I can't remember if she predates Vicky Vale or not.
Oh, okay.
But she's like, yeah, she goes back. She's that old. Like, she's been the last time we saw her though was in the New Earth, or I guess the Prime Earth for DC. She appears in Scott Snyder's Batman run near the end.
Okay, I think that's where that name comes to mind to me. Because like when I was reading Scott Snyder's run, I believe Julie Madison was one of a huge part of that run.
Yeah, so Julie Madison's actually first appearance was in Detective Comics 31.
Oh, wow, that's early.
Yeah, September of 1939, and she was created by Gardner Fox, Bob Kane, and Sheldon Moldoff.
Oh, wow, okay, yeah. Interesting.
Okay. That's old.
Yeah, so she's been around a long time. So, like, her thing was that she was in love with Bruce Wayne, and, like, once she found... But she didn't know, like, he was Batman, and then she, like, found out that he was Batman, and, like, kind of, like, was like,
just like she doesn't...
Yeah, okay, yeah, basically.
So, there you go. That's... so, yeah, she was a big kind of Batman love interest for a long time. But she kind of falls by the wayside. I think probably more people would remember Silver St. Cloud from Englehart's run before Julie Madison, but she goes back, so it's kind of cool to see that character pop up here.
So was she considered like Batman's like first love interest essentially? Like,
I'm trying to figure it out here. I'm looking it up as we speak. I'm looking up Vicky Vale because Vicky Vale might. No, Vicky Vale came later. Vicky Vale came in 1948 in Batman number 49. So, wow. Julie Madison is the first one. Yeah, she's the first love interest.
Interesting. Cool.
By almost 10 years.
That is lengthy.
So, yeah. But, getting back to the story. Commissioner Gordon is now the police commissioner in Gotham City, and
Tolver got elected mayor, right?
That's her.
Tolver.
Tolfer.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he was elected mayor, but as Julie Madison's talking, she believes that there needs to be a man to lead Gotham into this new future, this new brutal future that they're moving towards.
Yeah.
So she believes that Batman has to come back.
Right.
But the mayor is planning this giant big fair, and Gordon's going crazy.
The World's Fair, basically.
Yeah. It's basically a World's Fair.
Yeah, the World's Fair.
And he's like, oh man, it's going to attract so much criminals. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of a very rapid way of thinking.
Exactly. Which was weird because like no one would actually think like a carnival would attract a bunch of criminals.
Yeah. Like it's just like a weird like connect the dots thing.
Yeah, it just like veers off on this other path. It's just like, what?
So weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
But Bruce Wayne talks to Alfred and he's like, maybe I'm not done being Batman yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Alfred's like, yes, you are. Like, I like you this way. Please don't be Batman. I don't need the stress.
So, like, yeah, but that conversation ends with going, like, neither really knows.
Yeah.
So, we get to the council meeting, which Bruce Wayne is on the city council for the voluntary committee for the fair, and everyone's arguing because I guess no one wants this fair other than the mayor because it'll bankrupt the city, but the mayor's like, no, it'll bring money to the city.
Right.
So then we are great, but it's crashed by Leroy. What's his name?
I don't know. I know it's French.
Alexander Leroy, the master of the future,
Leroy.
the man of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, he heeds a warning.
Window.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part about this whole scene is that when he jumps out the window, like because he has a blimp, so obviously he just appears onto the blimp ladder. But like, all look down and they're so confused he's not there. But like, it's hard to miss like the giant blimp in the air.
Yeah.
Well, it's implied. Well, we don't find out he has the blimp till later, but like he does jump down though.
Yeah, he jumped down. He doesn't jump up. So.
No, yeah. I probably did grab the ladder, but like still like. Blimps aren't that hard to see, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true. But what makes him significant is that he has all these like cool gadgets and stuff like that. Like a lot of these people like haven't seen before at the time.
He reminds me of the Cavalier, the Batman villain, the Cavalier.
All right. Yeah, I remember that film.
Just the way he's dressed, because he has the sword as well.
Yeah.
But, like, he just comes in, like, warning is like, no, I'm the future, like, and he's like, you have no idea, like, I don't know, like, he just comes out so far out of left field that I don't really get it.
Yeah, like, he doesn't really explain why he's the future, like, what gives him that position, but, like...
Yeah, the giant balloons, like, that's pretty futuristic.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. Oh, gosh, it's weird, so weird.
But he gives a warning, like, if you don't stop the fair by this time, I'm going to strike and burn the city to the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
So from that point on, the warning is on, and Bruce is kind of like, this guy definitely needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to sit on this for a while, though. Let it just happen.
Yeah, let it happen. I'll only come out as Batman if it gets really bad, but...
The police are competent, is what he's hoping.
Yeah.
And as the fair is getting ready, he already sends down, like, a cannon drone to attack.
But it's like a clown cannon drone, and that got me really excited, because I thought it would be like the oldie times Joker, and it wasn't.
Well, remember in Gotham by Gaslight, the Joker does show up.
Yeah, I mean, he's hinted at, like...
Yeah, he's very clearly hinted at.
Yeah. But like that's what I was hoping this directly was, because it was a literal clown hit on top of a machine gun. I'm like, this sounds amazing. Where's the Joker?
Where's the Joker?
Exactly. So, but I'm kind of happy he didn't use the Joker, just because like we don't need the Joker in every story.
That's fair.
That's true. Yeah.
But like it's when he's like, hey, but it's attached with a note like, you ignored me, the city burns, you die. The master, like, oh. So it's after that point that Bruce is just like, yeah, I need to be Batman again.
Like, I guess. Why not?
So the day of the fair comes, and the mayor is kidnapped.
Oh my god.
By the master of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Blows off the mayor's, like, aide's head. Like, he just shoots him right in the face.
Yeah, just straight. He's gone. Like half his head is gone. It's wild.
Like that's a pretty gory panel for a DC book.
Yeah, it's really brutal, to be honest.
So he's taken onto the blimp and he meets the Alexander Leroy's partner in crime, Signor Antonio Devalio, who is a robot air captain.
Oh god.
Yes, it's I don't understand it because like he has real emotions for this robot, but like
like he thinks the robot's an actual person, like a living person.
But like
it's really...
I just don't get it. Like there's so much emotion for like what little we have.
I mean, like, I feel like the reason why they did that, the writer did this is, like, to show, like, to give the audience, like, yeah, he's crazy, he thinks that inanimate object's alive, he's a villain, like, it's weird. It's really weird.
So, yeah, Mayor Tolivar is, like, trapped, and, like, he's watching him launch this firebomb down, and it hits right in the gazebo, like, the center gazebo, and basically the whole fair is engulfed in flames at this point.
Right.
And then just for good measure, Leroy throws
the mayor out.
Mayor Tolliver out, and he just smashes to the ground, dying.
Yeah.
And then luckily Alfred brought the bat suit for Bruce to change into.
Home without it.
Yeah.
So from this point on, the action starts. Batman, he saves Julie Madison and the kid who are trapped under some rubble, and then from that point he goes up to the blimp to fight Alexander Leroy. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty standard stuff. Like, we see him use a modified version of the Bat Glider to get up to the blimp, which is cool.
He kills Antonio.
Yeah, well, what I love is, like, he gets onto the blimp and he throws a giant globe at Leroy, which causes him to back up and fall into Antonio, which breaks Antonio, and he's like, "No, Antonio!" It's like, now you've killed him.
Still tears at the death of this robot.
Honestly. Because he thinks he's real, so...
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a cool sword fight. The robot
is literally his only friend.
Oh, God.
And then we get a cool sword fight. As the
Zorro-style sword fight.
Mm-hmm. And then the trope is that, like, since no one's now driving the blimp, everything's going chaotic. It's like the thing's gonna explode, and it does. Mm-hmm. Oh, and, like, boom, the Hindenburg explosion-esque.
Yeah, those like, they kind of nodding to the Hindenburg.
But it's almost implied that Leroy's still alive, because his, like, hand comes out of the rubble.
Yeah.
But then, like, we never see him again, and this is the only time ever we visit this universe not in, like, a crazy crossover from, like, Time Master's Vanishing Point or something, but, like... But Batman discovers that Franklin Claypool, one of the other members of the volunteer board, is responsible for hiring Alexander Leroy, because both guys were very against the fair in the first place. Which, by the way, in the panel, did you catch the cameo between another famous Victorian era detective and his assistant?
I'm gonna Sherlock and Watson.
Sherlock and Watson make their appearance. So I thought, that's a cool nod because Batman is also
109. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't that.
Yeah, because Batman, kind of inspired as well. Not even though he's like inspired from Zorro and the Shadow, but also the detective element has to be from Sherlock Holmes. So that was a good nod by Augustin and Eduardo Barreto.
Yeah.
But as it's decided, the Franklin Claypool's going to jail, and we cut back to Bruce and Julie. Julie says that she's figured out that Bruce is Batman because of his eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's she's cool with him protecting the city as Batman and we end with the trope of Gotham City needs Batman as it also needs Bruce Wayne, so he will take care of them. And then the end.
Yeah.
Like, it was alright. Like, Master of the Future's okay.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't a necessary sequel to
it really wasn't. Like, the villain was just like, why is he here? I was literally questioning that the entire time I was reading it.
Yep. So going on, like I think easily Gotham by Gaslight's much better than the one we much more prefer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like for one thing, the art chain from like Mignola's to like this artist's style is really weird. Like I would either prefer Mignola's if they ever did another sequel. But...
Yeah. Eduardo Barreto isn't a bad artist.
Yeah.
This just doesn't seem like this kind of style. Like it doesn't the book like the plot I'm thinking.
I also will say that Master of the Future was released this time officially with the Elseworlds publication label by DC. And I guess kind of getting into fun facts as we're wrapping up here. In 2006, in Infinite Crisis, when they shuffled the multiverse around again, Gotham by Gaslight was officially identified as Earth 19. When Morrison redid the multiverse with Multiversity, I don't know if that number's the same.
I think it still is.
Okay.
I believe it still is.
But in Countdown presents The Search for Ray Palmer, Gotham by Gaslight, they visit that world in there.
Yeah, like their version of like the League is with Batman. Ray Palmer was called the Shrinking Man, not the Atom. The Flash, who we don't have an idea whose identity it is. We don't know it's Barry Allen, but his name is the Accelerated Man, and Wonder Woman.
Okay. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
IGN Comics, if they're worth any kind of if we're going to go by them as for any kind of official rankings diagnostic, I don't. But they did rank Gotham by Gaslight number 11 on their list of the 25 greatest Batman graphic novels.
All right, cool.
So Gotham by Gaslight is a very notable story. It's a celebrated story. But the highest ranking Elseworld on that list by IGN, though, was not Gotham by Gaslight. It was Batman and Dracula Red Rain, which came in at number 9.
Interesting. Never heard of that one.
It's by Kelly Jones. It's where Batman turns into a vampire.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not really. I've never read it. I'm like, Batman is a vampire.
Yeah, I just know of the instance of Batman being a vampire once. So yeah, that's.
But we also there was a failed video game for Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah. Before the Arkham franchise.
Yeah, before the Arkham franchise, it was just an alpha model, but the cape physics were really, really cool, and then Rocksteady took, I believe, some of the cape physics, incorporated it into what became the Arkham games.
Yeah, I believe when I saw that alpha gameplay, it was just of Batman walking around the city doing detective work to find Jack the Ripper. They didn't show any combat or anything. They showed some how moving on top of rooftops would work.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was pretty early.
It was very, very early in the cycle. But Arkham Origins and Injustice both have Gotham by Gaslight as alternate costumes for Batman.
Yeah. I haven't unlocked those. I should do that.
I haven't unlocked in Injustice, not the other one.
Nah, in Arkham Origins I haven't, but yeah. Injustice I haven't.
It's a great costume, so
yeah, it's a really cool costume. It's probably on my top 10 favorite Batman costumes.
It's a very cool costume because it makes sense for the time period.
Mm-hmm.
But later this year, Gotham by Gaslight was turned into a DC original animated film.
Yeah.
And where Bruce Greenwood returned as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Selena Kyle, who isn't in the book at all, is played by Jennifer Carpenter in the movie. To hit on the film, they differ slightly because they combine Gotham by Gaslight and Master of the Future together. And spoilers, if you haven't seen the movie, the Jack the Ripper killer in the movie is Gordon and not Jacob Packer.
That's good. It makes it
a lot more interesting.
I think it makes it a lot more interesting just because, immediately when you read a Batman story, you're ruling out Gordon immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a kind of a neat element.
Did he still do the thing where Gordon had his parents killed? Or was that just kind of wayside in the movie?
I don't know, because I didn't see the film. I heard it was one of the better ones released, though, lately.
Mm-hmm.
As we've talked we've talked about how like the DC animated movies have not been as good as they once were.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
happy to see this one was kind of good. Maybe I will check it out after reading these two stories.
I mean, for a recommendation, Batman Ninja that came out pretty recently is pretty good. If you want.
But as we're kind of wrapping up here, kind of final thoughts, guys. Do we like? I like Gotham by Gaslight, and you know, Master of the Future is what it is.
I mean, I enjoyed both, but like Master of the Future seemed a little unnecessary to me.
Gotcha. Yeah. For me, I love Gotham by Gaslight. It's a really cool story. I thought I would see a lot more of like the DC universe around that time period, like more of Batman's roster. Because like I remember seeing an image from a comic. I thought it was gonna be in Gotham by Gaslight, but it was Mike Mignola drawn, and it showed like almost everyone of Batman's roster. So like Joker, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze. It looked really cool.
That's neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I mean, I don't know how much you were gonna get because Gotham by Gaslight is only 48 pages.
Yeah, which is fair. So.
It's almost disappointing that Augustin didn't follow up with more elements of like maybe putting a Robin or something in Master of the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that would have been the room to do that.
That would have been cool.
Because other than the search for the Atom, like the search for Ray Palmer, we really haven't seen this universe ever.
Yeah, they should bring it back. Like do like maybe another event with it.
Yeah, I'd be down with it. It's a fun world to visit. So
yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be visited with Batman, really. Like, I like the other heroes, and it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in like a Flash one because like I love like the Flash design that they did with this universe. Actually they have in the Flash TV show, like the CW TV show, they've had the Accelerated Men show up like briefly as like a cameo, and it was really cool. So I would love to see like Earth 19 Flash book. That'd be really interesting. And see if it's like, who knows if it's Barry Allen. It would be cool if it was Wally West as their Flash. But yeah, but overall this is a great book. Loved it. Brief, but great.
And with that, like it's the time to announce what the pick for the next episode will be. And it'll be the first ever guest on the Cowl Cast, Matt Ford, who is a co-host with me on the Saga, the Clone Saga, aka the Clone Zone, wants to get on this, and he's chosen Batman Court of the Owls, the first arc by, well, I guess the first two arcs by Snyder, because the way they split it up, it's what, Court of the Owls is the first six, and then Night of the Owls is...
We're going to do both of them, right?
Yeah, we're doing, I count all of that, all those 12 issues as Court of the Owls.
Okay.
So we're going to read the whole story.
I love that story. Such a good story.
With Greg Capullo on art, Scott Snyder writing. A story that I think is just okay. I think it's a little overrated.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's overrated.
I like it a lot. Like, it's a really cool story.
Well, I mean, it's good that we have these differing opinions, because I can't wait to talk about it, because I'm not really the biggest Scott Snyder Batman fan.
All right, I mean, that's fair. I mean, it was one of the Scott Snyder's Batman run is like one of the only like good things about the New 52 in my opinion. So
yeah, it's definitely one of the better books from the New 52, and I'll give it that. But my gripe with Scott Snyder is he knows how to start stories, he just doesn't know how to finish them.
That's fair.
So, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the Court of the Owls next time on the Cowl Cast. Anything you guys want to say as we depart here?
Gotham by Gaslight. Read it.
I would say so. It's worth a pickup. DC recently put out a new version of the book that contains both Gotham by Gaslight and Master of the Future. So you can get them all in one book for about maybe $17. So I think both of them are worth $17. So definitely pick it up.
Yeah. Watch the movie, which I have to do right after this podcast, because I heard it's also really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it. So that's it until we meet into our Bat Cave next time. This is the members of the Cowl Cast signing off.
All right.
Get home safe.
Get home safe.